going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of GigaChad Books. I'm your host, GigaChad Books. It's nice to see each and every one of you again. Today we have another book review, surprisingly. Who would have thought that I would talk about a book? Crazy indeed. But today we have One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest by Ken Kesey. I don't think that focused on it, but that's okay. I was suggested this book, recommended it by my cousin Jackson, and he is a fine gentleman. He recommended it to me and told me it was fantastic, and it had been sitting on my shelf for quite a while, so I decided to give it a try because, why shouldn't I? And I think that it was a fantastic choice for me to read this book. I thought that it was immaculate. I thought that it was exceptionally written, and just a very interesting tale. And just overall very awesome, with very great characters in it, a very enticing story, a very heartfelt and emotionally charged story. This one will definitely tug at your heartstrings a little bit, in all of the proper ways. So it's really great. In this book, we get to follow Chief Bromden. He is the narrator, and we get to follow this story of him meeting this person that is a really life-changing moment for him, and that person is McMurphy. I think it's Randall McMurphy, and McMurphy is quite the extravagant guy. He's a loud-mouthed, brash individual, a big personality, and a big man at that. And he's really great. And so basically this book takes place in a psychiatric ward with a bunch of mental health patients, and they're just in a very miserable state of life within this ward, being under the power of this nurse named Miss Ratched, and she is just the absolute worst, and she just keeps them in a constant state of disarray and really just kind of makes their situations worse. And McMurphy gets committed to this ward and shakes things up and kind of laughs in the face of Miss Ratched and all of her problems, and does everything he can to get under her skin. So just from that alone, I feel like you can tell that this will be a very interesting book, because the book is just like this back and forth between McMurphy and Miss Ratched, just seeing who can win this mental battle between the two of them, who can outlast the other one. And then you also just get to see how that affects the patients of the ward, and how they kind of begin to revolt against Miss Ratched slowly but surely through McMurphy, who is like their leader. And he's kind of like almost like this saint-like figure to them, who is willing to stand up against the people that kind of put them down. I love McMurphy, and I really love Chief Bromden. I really love to see his development. Since it's narrated from his point of view, it just allows his character to unfold in a really beautiful way. And you get to see how McMurphy impacts those people around him through Bromden, and just the effect that they get from that. And Bromden becomes a completely changed man by the end of it, and he's able to stand up for himself, whereas before, he's committed to this asylum under the impression that he's deaf and mute due to PTSD, but that's just not the case. And so Bromden just slowly just starts to, become one with society again, and stops this disassociative behavior. So it's a really beautiful thing, and it's really touching to see their relationship blossom, and how they just have each other's backs, and how McMurphy treats the other people in the ward just with so much care and so much love, while also just in a very atypical way, and just being kind of harsh and straight up, and just being matter of fact about it, because he knows that these guys are good. They're just holding themselves back, and allowing Miss Ratched to hold them back as well. And there's just some great stuff in here about how, in order to really enjoy life, and in order to deal with the burdens that we carry, one really needs to be able to laugh with the pain. If you can't laugh at your misfortune or the way that things turn out for you, then it'll only make it more difficult for you to fall into a hole of just miserableness. I think that's a really big theme in the book, is just how laughter can heal your pain and help you deal with your problems. And it's really a beautiful part of this book. Beautiful part of McMurphy's character. I really hope that this wind is not fucking destroying all of my audio. That would be really unfortunate. But yeah, this is a super great book. I think that you should definitely read it. I think that it's fantastic. The only thing that I will say that I did not really like in this book is that there's just some really bad like racial depictions of some of the workers within this ward. There's like 3 black dudes, and they're just like horrifically described throughout this book. It like kind of sucks, and it's just like, this book was written in 1964, and sometimes this age really shows, especially through like this one outburst that McMurphy has near the end of the book. Just fucking sucks. And it's also a little bit hypocritical as well, because Chief Bromden is like part Native American, and there's this section of the book where you go back to his past where he's living on this land, and it describes the scene where a bunch of white people come and they're basically trying to buy all of their land away from them, take everything away and get them to move out. And he talks about how these people come to them, and then when Bromden is like trying to talk to them to explain to them what is going on, they just refuse to listen to him and shut him out because he is Native American. And I just thought that it was kind of hypocritical for that to be included within the book, and then to have these black people that are in there just be constantly degraded. And I understand that they're like awful characters, but also just they are already held to a lower standard on account of being black. So that's kind of the only thing that really bothered me about this book. But I really do think that it's I think it's a great thing to read, and it's very emotional. I haven't really read too many books that have impacted me on such a level as this one has. And the characters are just great, and it's a great story of overcoming adversity and just a tale of hope and revival and revolution. So I think it's great. But it's really cold outside, and the wind is about to pick up again, and I'm getting scared, so I'm going to go. But I hope that you guys have a day full of laughter and of joy, and I hope that you hear a really funny joke today. And that's everything that I have. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for all of the support that I've gotten recently, and I'll talk to you guys later. Okay, goodbye.